Hey guys, it is Esti and Justin from Not For Long Media.
If you like the video you're about to watch, be sure to like the video itself and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it.
Enjoy the video and also don't forget to follow us on our socials at Not For Long Media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
All right, so we got the man, Gus Felder, in the building, one of my favorite people I've come across in football, and that's no word of a lie. I've had the pleasure to work with Gus with the Carolina Panthers. Gus is a Philly guy. We'll get into all that stuff, but really Gus was in the weight room last year in Carolina and then is transferred over into player engagement. So I've got to know him a few different levels. And I think one of the cool thing about Gus of what you did is you got to know everyone from a weight room perspective. You know, guys, they're putting down their shields a little bit more in the weight room. They're having those conversations with you more. And now you're in player engagement. So talk about what you're doing now with the Panthers and your role. And we appreciate you coming on.
Well, right now, I'm in player engagement with the Panthers. We talked about it earlier a little bit. And before coming to the Panthers, I was in athletic administration. So I want to continue that route. And when I got the call from the guys to come in, wasn't sure what I was going to be doing. But the weight room spot open, the first year I had to make some changes what was going on there. But I'm in player engagement, just building and fostering relationships, man. That's what the game is about.
And you get to work a lot with the rookie class, which is a unique thing. And that's something that I have a passion for, to pay it back to some of the younger players, but also to help not mold some of the younger minds, but I work a lot with the rookies, and I get to see Tommy Tremble every day. And just, it's amazing to me. Like, I remember going back, I try to remember going back, when I keep that in mind when I talk to these guys, that they're 20, 21, 22 years old coming to the league. It took me 4 years to get confidence and a swagger and all the things that it takes to play in the NFL and knowledge. And these guys that come in and produce right away at 2021. What are some of the challenges that you've seen with just rookies in general that coming into the NFL, and how to handle it and how you guys have helped them?
Just how green they are. I look at it as a bigger spectrum just than rookies. And that's what the role has been in the past, just focusing on the rookies. And then you forget about the second, third year, fourth year players who need help too. I mean, like you were saying, it took you 4 years to get acclimated. So the role I'm in right now is to help our younger staff members know how to deal and work in the organization inside the player engagement department, as well as focus on some of the veteran and older players. So more like a liaison or that veteran guy in the room, helping our younger staff members from first year in the position, first year working with athletes, from being actually the first year working in that role, just helping guide and directing them. So I try to take a step back when we're working with the rookies, and just pour most of my time into veteran programming as far as what we want to do for the guy. Everybody say the player engagement role is for helping guys transition in and transition out, but they forget about that process that they're going through while they're in there. You know what I'm saying? So they think because they're there and they have money that these guys don't have issues they got to worry about. And not that they have to worry about, they have issues that aren't seen. The anxieties they got to deal with, the pressure from family and everyone else at home, and then still trying to, build their brand and protect their organization's brand. So that's a big role in that. So just as far as any challenges go, really no challenges if you have that ability just to be yourself and get to know people. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily take sides, but just be yourself. Talk to the guys, hear what they got to say. The biggest thing in that role is listening, because everybody want to try to find a solution right away. You don't have the answers for everything. Not everyone in the building has the answer for everything, especially everybody's life is different. I've been blessed to take many roles, to get where I'm at, working with various different diversities, different people, different organizations, and try to bring it on the table, just being the best person I can be to help the people get where they want to go. So as far as the challenges, it's just getting the guys to understand that it's more in life than just football. And that's what a lot of them come in and get stuck on. They think that football is the end all sale. But like you said, at 2021, when they're done playing, you retire around 30, 32 years old. Sometimes way before that. And then they want to try to get their life started after that. And it's almost too late at that point because they don't know where to go. So just try to
No, it's unique. I think the best thing the NFL's done and best thing pro sports have done over the last couple of years there in the world, in the media world, is like allowing guys to do things like this, what I'm doing, and allowing guys to start a brand and start things and making it okay. I think there's an old school stigma that there's distractions and all these different things in your life, but really, like, everything's a release from really playing. And what are you searching? Like, I have a podcast. Yeah, it's a passion of mine, but at the end of the day, it's a little bit of for me to get away and learn about other people. And yeah, it aligns with a passion, but I've looked back and I'm like, wow, you know what? This podcast thing has been an escape for me. It's been a way for me to connect with others. So it checks a lot of boxes for me.
Yeah, and what you're doing, what I'm doing, like it helps people, and we think we have to live a certain image, we have to be portray a certain picture of certain people throughout the world because of what you're doing. But some of the greatest leaders and greatest minds in the world had an outlet for what they were doing to help them be better at what they're doing. And if you
Yep.
don't have an outlet or you're stillness, something to get away from, you'll be lost in what you're doing. And you're in the profession, you see a lot of these coaches. I hate that fact that we have that. A lot of coaches in the profession are lost in being a football coach and don't even take care of their families, don't have no identity for themselves. They get lost in, alcohol and drugs, and then they're stuck. You know what I'm saying? And it's all because all they did was just didn't have an outlet, didn't have something to go to, they didn't have their stillness. Like some of the greatest leaders in the world, talking about Martin Luther King and some of the great stoics in the world, some of the great people in the world had an outlet. They had something to do to get away from, to help them be better at what they're doing, even simple as just taking a walk or little things like that.
Yeah, so it's an excellent point, and we've talked about it before on this podcast and talked about the coaching industry. The playing industry, of course, is a grind, but the coaching industry is a long haul thing. And I said it before. I said I think it needs to be edited. I think the time in the building needs to be edited. Yes, there's certain times a year you need to be in the building, you need to grind, but I do think that the work-life balance of a coach, especially in college, is too much. And people would say, maybe that's soft or whatever it may be, but I got to see a lot of relationships firsthand from multiple universities that I played for, stories from other friends of just coaches imploding, coaches not be able to handle it, divorce, not a good relationship with their kids. Now throw in COVID where you can't have family around even more, when before you can make it happen where maybe your wives would come in and have dinner with you, things like that. So do you see coaches' health and mindset changing over the years, or do you see that, hey, it's still the same old thing?
I think it's getting worse because they don't have, like we're doing, we have a unique situation, at the Panthers where we have a team of guys doing it, and we have different people we got to, our goal. I want to say our job is to connect with and listen to and try to have it, try to be there for them, in layman terms. It's bad. And I've been blessed to work with Mark Richt for 6 years, and I had an AD, a female, Tamika Jones, who was my athletic director at Clark Lane, another AD at Kennesaw State. And all they preach was work-life balance. They don't just preach it, but they lived it. It's action over words. We've had staff meetings, throughout my time at Georgia and Miami, where Mark Richt will shut things down because coaches aren't going home. He was the offensive coordinator and the head coach. So we say we have a position coach in the offensive side of the ball who's sitting in the office all night, and I'm the offensive coordinator and head coach, and I have nothing to do. You're still in the office. What are you there for? So there've been times where, he'll use his word. You want to honor me, spend time with your family. Don't honor me by sitting behind your desk, guarding your desk. It's a difference from being in the office being productive and just being in the office being seen. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people get caught up, players and coaches get caught up in the fact that, hey, let me go into the office just to be seen so I get the perception I'm getting something done, and no work is really getting completely getting done. Or I can get my work done, be productive at it, and go home to my family.
Yeah. No, it's unique.
They get lost at. So
it's a unique world.
And too many young coaches think that's coaching. And that's not. Coaching is teaching, coaching is educating. And if I'm sitting behind, if I'm coming to the office just to be seen, what are you getting done out of that? Who's benefiting that? Nobody. And an immature young coach might think it's going to get them, a better job, or it's going to keep you in that same position because you're not getting things done.
Yeah. It's double work, and there's some sort of mental health side of it now, right? We've talked about that as well. We'll get into that a little bit with players, the mental health of it for players and coaches. For me, my personal attack on things is I try to do as least amount of work as possible at home. I try to do all my work in the building. So if I have to stay till 8 o'clock at night to do my work, then I have to, because I want to be able to come home and be like a sanctuary for me mentally, where I like to cook. I like to podcast. I like to talk to my family, my wife, whatever that may be, but it's my safe zone where, I can get up a little early the next day and go in and do some work. But when I go home, I have that sanctuary. Do you see guys building these mental routines for themselves now? Do you see, and again, we'll go back to the rookies because they're first year players and in a new job, right? That's all it is. They're trying to figure their way out and they're trying to make it stay and last long, just like everybody else. But that's a great case study because they come all different personalities, shapes and sizes, especially our group for sure. And, do you see guys sitting there saying that this is how I'm going to do it? Do you see guys changing their process consistently in a better way?
I see guys changing their process in a better way when they see the guys around them do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They go from playing a rookie coming, going from meeting these guys from Madden to actually be in the room with them. So now they're idolizing them from home, from video games, from TV. Now they're in the room with them. What are they being taught? Our biggest thing with rookies, this is just come from other teams too, is teaching our rookies that this is a job. It's no longer college football, but you have to be here. And helping them understand the benefits and the downfalls of not approaching this thing like a job. You see what I'm saying? So that's the biggest thing, is teaching them that curve, that learning curve, of that this is a job first, and just like any other job, you can be fired from ASAP. You won't have that money coming in anymore. So now I have seen a lot of our rookies, you know, I look at Tommy Trimble from the work they put in with you. I watch out, you know, and the smart rookies, the smart ones that really see to the job, will gravitate towards the veterans in their room who are doing it right. And you don't know they're doing it right till you get to know them. A lot of rookies are intimidated by some of these guys that they're around, they see, or they're intimidated by how they dress, how much money they think they have, instead of getting to know that person that's behind the money, behind the slings they have, and knowing that they're prized in a way. We all have egos that have pride, and a lot of rookies come in with so much of it because the recruiting process in college has changed the game so much. So these guys go from being spoiled, being pampered, you know, and being able to give so many opportunities and shots to screw up and mess up. And you know what I'm saying? And you take these rookies, you bring them to the National Football League, and you don't have those same opportunities. So now it's time for you to grow up and learn. But here it is, though, your pride settled from being drafted. You come fresh out of the draft, and now I see a big time quarterback in the room, and my pride is in the way because I'm making some money to go ask him how to do it right, or to go mimic what he's doing, make it better. You know what I'm saying? When we come into the NFL in 2003, it was so much different. Like look, I'm gonna steal everything that guy's doing and make it better. If that coach is in the room talking to a guy like Ryan Tucker the whole time, hey, he's doing right. He's talking to all. I play the same position. You know, I had guys like Jeff Saturday and those guys in the room who were better at the time, and the coach is constantly talking to Jeff. You know, like, man, I play the same position, so I took it to talking to me too. So I'm taking what he's doing. Next, you know, I'm playing in front of him. I'm doing things I can move different, have a little bit more youth to me that he has to do certain things. So, but nowadays, the rookies today, they're the egos in a way, the money's in a way, their prize in a way. Social media changed the whole game. It's a whole other story. And they're too much ego, too much pride to learn from a veteran guy because of their own issues. Yeah,
it's definitely a unique situation. And now you're going into a whole different type of person, like the millennial side. I'm a part of that group. And then you have this whole new group coming in. You know, they're on their phones more. Like, I feel like such an old guy. I'm like, get off your phone. Like, let's just have a conversation. Even though I'm a part of the group that's kind of started the phone, being on your phone situation. So it's unique for sure. Who's some of the guys you looked up during your playing careers through college and professionally?
I'm different, man. Like I really followed football when I played. I don't follow it now much.
Or some leaders when you were in, though. Some guys.
Some of the leaders I was in with guys be like Courtney Brown. We played together at Penn State with the same team with the Browns, and I watched him. His process didn't change. He was a worker, a grinder. He always found time to read his Bible. He came to work and he got out and he left work. He didn't stay long enough. If he had to stay, he stayed there enough time to get things done. And look at so many guys I really didn't. Like I said, I didn't really follow football, man. Like,
no, you're good.
People think I'm crazy. Like, we talk to my team, they tell you I don't watch sports. I watch boxing, but I don't sit there and watch a whole football game. Can't do it.
Why do you like boxing? What does boxing do for you?
It's just something we grew up in, man. It's a one-on-one gladiator chess type game sport. It's more than just hitting bags. People think you can hit bags, but it's just me versus the person to get on. You know, the teammates, nobody you do in your corner every now and again. But once a fighter gets in the ring, the coach you get from your corner usually turns up because they're not actually in a battle. It's kind of like football. Like your coaches coach you up, but they're not out there playing. It's a player's game. So your coach can just your corner can tell you much they want. But you know, we train all camp long for overhand right over the jab, but that is not there. The other guy's smart too. So then you got to strive to do something different. Your coach keeps saying all they want, but he's not in the ring getting hit when you try to overhand right. You know what I'm saying? So
I always say to guys, sometimes you got to overcome coaching a little bit, and just go. Take what you get and go, and don't grab the wheel too tight. Not that I have it figured out by any means, but that's my self-talk and my process of trying to just be me and be the best version of me every play. So let's go back though. Let's take it back. We get to touch on what you're doing now in Carolina. This is what's going on now for Gus Felder. Let's go back to young Gus, growing up in North Philly. Take us back to, you know, your earliest days and, you know, your passions, you know, some things that you enjoyed and what they made you, you know, to who you are today.
I'm going to start back when I first dropped out of high school and then went back to high school. I'm not going to go back to all of us. I don't like talking about that. So, because I don't want to paint no picture for somebody listening and think that's what you got to do because everybody's path different. So I dropped. I'm a high school dropout. Went to Job Corps. I look at my life, and God orchestrated it along the way, not really knowing, believing in Jesus and all that, but not really knowing him until I got older. So he put me in a position to go to Job Corps. I went to Job Corps in Lopez, PA, and I think he sent me to Job Corps to meet my wife. My wife and I have been met since 1996. We've been married for 21 years, but that's why I think I went to Job Corps. When the Job Corps, after leaving Job Corps, finishing Job Corps, when you go to Job Corps, you can go there from the age of 16 to 26 years old. You can learn a trade, and you can go back to school and get your GED. Or you can do both. All right, so my plan was to go there. This is from North Philadelphia, not knowing much, man. My plan was to go to Job Corps for the summer. All right, get my GED over a 2-month span and go to college. You see what I'm saying? That's not realistic. Went to Job Corps for a year and a little couple months. After leaving Job Corps, when you complete Job Corps, I completed my carpentry trade. All right, so being a certified carpenter, I completed that trade. When you finish your trade, the Job Corps finds you a job, and they'll pay your first and last month rent in any place you want to go.
Why did you decide to be a carpenter?
My dad did all carpentry work. My dad and grandfather did a lot. They do a lot of handyman stuff.
So you had a background under you had familiarization.
Yeah. I went to Dobbins in Philadelphia because my dad went there. You know what I'm saying? But my first year in Dobbins didn't go. I was doing other stuff I should have been doing. Got kicked out of Dobbins, ended up at Gratz. That's another story. And dropped out of Gratz, and then ended up going to Job Corps. You know,
all right, so
like
continue.
My life in Philadelphia, all you guys go to Temple and love it, like it's different for me. That's not what I didn't experience those things y'all experienced. So I can't believe some of y'all went to Temple.
They're good
not
lessons.
Not it's a bad school, but just a bad environment from what I remember.
I played against both those teams in high school, by the way, and they had some big old boys like Gus Felder on the field.
Exactly. So with the Job Corps, when I finished Job Corps, there's a small town called Berwick, Pennsylvania. Now, not know anything about the history of Berwick, the football program, none of that stuff going on. I was going to work for Carl Majors Construction Company. It's in Berwick, Pennsylvania. Carl Major was starting a semi-pro football team. So I went, my RA is from Berwick. That's your dorm sheet. So she sent me down to Berwick. I went to sign up for the semi-pro team. I know I was going to be working at Carl Majors, find me a little apartment in Berwick. And during the registration, Carl was a big Berwick affiliate, or how he was affiliated with. So they had all the staff there from Berwick High School helping them with the registration. 17 years old. They said, "Hey, do you have any eligibility?" And how naive I was. What do you mean by that? What's eligibility? I didn't know what the hell that was. I didn't think nothing about it. Further investigation, I had 2 years eligibility left. Took me to meet the high school coach, George Curry. Now, that's how I ended up at Berwick. So now here's a story behind Berwick. Berwick at that time was one of the top high school football programs in the country. One of the first teams to play on ESPN, the longest win streak in high school football before De La Salle in California started their thing. So the class I graduated with, they never lost a football game. The guys I graduated with. We lost, we lost one football game my senior year from 7th grade all the way through, the guys I graduated with.
They must have been smiling ear to ear when this guy comes down from Job Corps with a year or so of eligibility left. And he's not just some random guy. He's one of the best high school football players in the country.
But here's the thing, though, like we got in trouble for that. They kicked us out of the PIAA playoff my senior year because they did an investigation on it saying that they recruited me. But like you said, you played against Dobbins. You've seen those guys. I played with guys like Rod Coleman that played at Gratz with me. Long time. He had the sec record for the Atlanta Falcons for a number of years. You see what I'm saying? I played with guys like that. One of my other best friends, Quincy, he ended up getting killed. He was one of the top running backs in Philadelphia. You know what I'm saying? So that was one reason why they pushed me out of Philly. But I played with guys like that. You see what I'm saying? So and how you gonna recruit Gus when there's so many other guys out there who's better? I felt at the time. But I did my thing. I was all right. So but anyway, so if you think back in 1998, the Philadelphia Inquirer did a whole front and back. The sports section, the first sports section was in the back of the Philadelphia Inquirer, whole big old spread, like 10 pages, called Gusgate. And they went to investigate Simon Gratz, how many times I've been to school, how many days I've been to school, where I went to school at Dobbins, why I leave Dobbins, and had a big old picture of me in Berwick, sacking Dave Ragone, who's now, I think, the OC for one of these NFL teams.
Dave Ragone was a quarterback coach of the Bears. I know Dave.
Yeah. Now he's the OC for somebody out. I forget what team. We played him too.
Maybe Chargers.
I'm not sure. He's OC for one of those teams. But anyway, so that's how that. So I ended up at Berwick. From Berwick, it was a blessing. We got our wins back. We ended up going to win the state championship again. We won 4 in a row. and then
Put perspective how big Berwick football was. You said you mentioned you guys were on ESPN. Like,
yeah.
just paint a picture for our audience, like what Berwick. Because
all right, Berwick is a small town. You ever see this? What's the Friday Night Lights or Varsity Blues? The little small town there, when a whole town shuts down. I mean, police sirens. The stadium is walled off. You got police. Everybody in the town is at Berwick football. I mean, you score a touchdown, you got shotguns going off, fireworks going off. You got people sitting on top of houses. Berwick was an old town. They used to build tanks for World War II back in the steel mill, the coal region back in the day. So probably I was the only African American guy on the team. Coming from North Philly. We played when we would travel. When the first thing that Nike would travel, we played team out of Florida, out of DC. Like what's the quarterback? The OC for the Buccaneers. Leftwich. We played this team twice. They were the top team in DC. We would beat them guys like 64-0, 48-0. We played Glen Mills out of Philly when they were hot at the time back in the day. We go to Jersey and play, all the prep schools in Jersey. We were playing all over. We played against St. Ignatius at Ohio. So I played against David Gone. They were a top team at Ohio. They considered our team. That game, the Super Bowl high school football, they beat us when you read them next year. That was the one game we lost right there I was talking about. So,
there you go.
They had guys like Charles Bentley and McGone, those guys on there.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's Berwick football, small town football. You can Google it and find it. My high school coach, George Curry, is the all-time winners high school football coach in Pennsylvania and third overall in wins all time. He passed away 2 years ago from a battle with ALS.
What does he mean to you? You guys have a good relationship?
Man, he was a man. That's my guy. When I was coaching, any coaching decision I would make, even as far as me, like leaving the NFL, he was the first person I would call. Wow. The first guy I would call. Yeah, his son, Cosmo Curry, is the superintendent of a school district out there in like Allentown area. Yeah, so any decision I would make, I would make back when it comes to me taking a coaching job. Like, he knew I was going to take the Miami job before I heard about it. He said, "You're going to Miami." I had talked to nobody about it. He just knew the game, knew football. If you go to YouTube, guys, and Google George Curry, you'll get everything you possibly think. All the quarterback drill they do at New England back in the day, you have guys, all those quarterback coaches, Tom Brady, everybody talk about them.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. Berwick football. Yeah, I appreciate you painting the picture for everybody. For some of the local Doylestown listeners, it was like the Central Bucks West, at the back in the day for us.
Yeah, we beat them too, though. We would destroy them too, man. So back then, we would scrimmage those guys and score about 8 touchdowns.
Man, Berwick football. I love it. So then Penn State comes knocking.
Penn State, man.
Talk about that transition. That's some crazy stories along the way too. You meet Joe Pa, etc.
Yeah. So my first time meeting Joe Pa, this is how this goes. So like I said, I was one of the top recruits in the country for all that stuff coming out, and I never took any official visits. My goal at that time was to go, here's this. It's a funny story. I told my high school coach, hey, I want to go back to Philly and go to school because my wife at the time was pregnant with my first daughter. She's 25 now. I said, I'm gonna go back to Philly, just go to school there. He said, no, you're not going back to Philly, you're not going there. Then Miami came up, and then you're not going to Miami. And he said, you're gonna go to Penn State. I said, all right. He said, we're gonna go up to Penn State. We took a trip to Penn State. This is a regular spring. We just drove up to Penn State. He said, you're gonna go in there and meet this guy, meet Joe Paterno. You're gonna tell him you commit. So I go into the locker room and sit down with him. And I sit across from him, play like that, look at him and say, hey, I commit, right? Everybody started laughing. So we leave, get back in the car, go back home. I say, hey, coach, what's commit? And he started explaining the process of committing to him. I said, I got you. I had no idea what he was talking about. So that was my recruiting visit. I went to Penn State to do that. And I went back for the very first Big 33 practice they had. They had the first practice every year at Haluba Hall at Penn State University. That was the only practice I took part of for the Big 33. I was selected for that. I didn't play in the game. I had to stay back at Penn State and go to class over the summer. And also one of the first guys selected for that, that Army game that had started back in the day. I was the first one selected for that. I didn't go play no all-star games. I just went to Penn State. I had to go to school because for me, going to school in first at Dobbins and Gratz and dropping out, going to Job Corps and went to Berwick, back then it took all 4 years of eligibility and they combined, your GPA, see if you're eligible to play. I was a non-qualifier. So I spent time, like I told Jeremy, I was going to help him get his job because I spent time with Jeremy as a GA. And they was practicing all their new moves and machines with me because I lived by myself. I couldn't train with the team. I couldn't do anything. I had to do everything by myself, 6 o'clock in the morning, be the first one in the weight room. And so that started my trend of training. I only train in the morning. Even right now today, I train better in the morning. So I get up in the morning and train from that time moving forward.
That's great. So you work your way on to Penn State, and then you get to work with some unbelievable coaches and some unbelievable people that I've been able to get to know. Obviously, Jeremy Scott, who's our head strength conditioning coach, get to work with Joe Pa. But just talk about your time at Penn State, your journey through getting your feet wet. You have a growing family during this time. It's not it's a unique time for a student athlete and a father.
Yeah. So the first year I was a non-qualifier. And then that very next year I was able to play. And I played in every game since then, since being at Penn State. Started out in defense and ended up moving to offensive line, which was a great decision. And we had so many guys. We had guys like Jimmy Kennedy, Anthony Adams, Mike Hayes, all those guys, first round drafts drafted. We all played in. Said, I'm going to play offense. I was like, that's fine. Jimmy was mad about it. Spice was mad about it. Y'all know Anthony Adams, Spice Adams.
I met Anthony Adams on a recruiting trip to Penn State. Actually, it wasn't even a recruiting trip. I was there for camp, and he was playing pool down somewhere in the locker room area. That's all I remember. Yeah. And he would be at camp, and he was doing some footwork drills, and he had like the black and orange shoes because he was with the Bears. And then I became a Chicago Bear, and I got to meet him, and he told him that story. He loved it. I didn't know him from Adam though, but a great guy.
Yeah. What y'all see now with Spice is edited from what we did in college, man. I tell you that right now. Yeah. It's all PG, but that's all real. That's all him. So they moved him to center, right? Here's a funny story about this. So they moved him to center, and Spice was hot. He was ready to transfer, ready to leave. So that first day of spring ball, we out there at practice, and he wouldn't snap the ball. He'll pick up, throw the ball back to the quarterback. That was the only time Spice wasn't funny. Like, you had to be there for the funniest time ever. And they moved back to defense, and he did his thing in the NFL for 9 seasons as a nose guard, the smallest guy that ever played the position.
Quick.
So we had guys like, so I played every year. I played for all those guys. Those guys, they played to like I want to say, they got in sparingly our sophomore year, but they really didn't play to their junior, senior year. And I was, we had guys like Larry Johnson, didn't play to a senior year. So I played guard. I played every position on the line, and then, I was all Big Ten as my first year as a guard. And then the next year as a guard, and I moved to tackle. And that threw me for a loop. I'm like, man, why? I was mad about it. I met with Joe. I said, man, if I move to tackle, all you're going to do is sit there and scream and yell, and I'm going to be mad. So if you worry about that, I won't say a word to you. So moving to tackle. And then I wanted to pull. So we started putting, counters in where I get to pull from the tackle spot, which was great. And Larry Johnson, the coach Johnson, who's now the assistant head coach at Ohio State. Every time I would destroy somebody, I would get he would give me a prize. You're not going to talk about the prize, it wasn't money. It was just, I don't know, like a fat, it was like Snickers and shit like that. Get up there and celebrate, I'll pull, I'll have everybody from the city, everybody from Philly come to my games. Everybody, I don't want to name drop, but I have some guy, everybody come up, so I will pull, I'll pull around, knock somebody, and I'll point up at the crowd and have my own little world.
But that's the best part about college. That's the beauty of college. That's the beauty of the game. And really, you're not pointing because look what I did. It's like, look where we are, look where we're at, and the journey and the fun.
I wouldn't change, my time with Penn State fan. That was the best thing I had. I got some teammates who hate it, but what you put into something, you'll get out of it. You see what I'm saying? What you put into it, you get out of it. When I left Penn State, I was married with 2 kids and one on the way. And I wasn't a part of any recruiting trip because my lifestyle was different. So I lived off campus in graduate housing, family housing. I didn't host any recruits, but I was around. So
yeah, it was different. It was different. Talk about juggling family while you're a college student athlete. I mean, obviously now you're a seasoned father, no big deal.
Even back then, that's why I saw a lot of my guys now, when Spice them start having their kids and everybody said, hey, Gus, how'd you do with it in college? We just, me and Kelly, man, we just did it, man. It was like, I don't know, help from my mom from back at home, and the support we had was cool, but it wasn't Penn State made it good for us, made it easy for us, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I look at it just one day at a time. And then now, we had some ups and downs, of course, just being a father, but I had a big family, so that was the easy part of it. But yeah, these guys starting their families now, and the stuff they go through, the struggles they had, it's funny. And I'm like, Gus, how'd you do while we were in college? It was just one day at a time for us, man. It was just knocked it out. I don't want to be corny, but y'all, what's next? And we just did whatever we had to do, man.
Yeah, right. It's a mantra for life, no doubt about it. So.
Yeah, Kelly held it down by working, man. She had jobs at Walmart, at Wendy's, a different hair salon, but she just kept grinding away, you know what I'm saying? And that's how we did it.
I love it, man. I love it. And then so
Yeah,
you're at Penn State. You finish up at Penn State. Before we move on from Penn State, though, what was your relationship like with Joe Pa?
it was great because I had a chance. Me being a non-qualifier, they had, in order for me to get that 5th year eligibility left, you understand? So I had to graduate earlier. And so that summer, before my senior year, I had to take 24 credits over the summer. All right. So, and I guess I got Todd Coker. I always tell people about it right now, but it was a deal where early on in his career, I got put in some classes they didn't work towards graduation, so they got exempt. So they take 24 unit credits over the summer in order to get that next year eligibility. So he let me, I had to get away. I didn't do any, I just had to work early in the morning, went from 6 to 5, had classes all day, got a bunch of parking tickets because I had to drive to class, drive Dustin to daycare, had to go to class. I actually went to jail for that too, for the parking tickets, man. Penn State, man, they gonna get their money. It's funny, man. They'll come.
Hold
get
on,
you.
tell the jail story. You went to jail for parking tickets. Please tell us.
Penn State don't play, man. They came and got me, man. They came to the classroom.
They yanked you out of class, so you're sitting in class?
Class, man. And my man Bao Ju, who was playing for the Packers at that time, bailed me out, man.
You got bailed out of jail for parking tickets.
Parking tickets, bro. I sat there all night one night. My man Bao came up, bailed me out. Yep. Man, Bao Ju played for the Packers for a long time, man.
Man, there's a good man right
dog.
there.
Yeah, he is, man. Good dude, man. But still, for parking tickets, man, Penn State don't play when it comes to parking. Anyway, so what we were talking about? Got me all over the place.
Just your time at Penn State and wrapping things up.
Yeah.
Joe Pa.
So Joe Pa's great, man. He made the arrangements for me to get my the graduate done, and I finished that summer semester with a 3.8 GPA. Graduated, was able to get my 5th year. Now that 5th year, and he did another great thing. He knew I wanted to get into coaching. So he allowed me to be a GA, work in the weight room while I was still playing that last year. So my last year we played 2002. We rushed for 2,000 yards. Man, all I did was play GTA Vice City, the original version, and help guys out in the weight room, man. That was my first go around in grad school.
That's awesome, man. And then talk about post Penn State.
So after that, before that season at Harley, Joe had a long talk with me and told me something about the supplemental draft. He said, all right, Gus, you can do the supplemental draft. At that point, everybody gets draft grades, and I had a high draft grade and all this stuff. They hype you up, think you're going to go in the first, second round. And in the year we came out, the year I actually stayed, finished the year, we came over 2,000 yards. Larry Johnson won every award, running back and won, but the Heisman. And then I ended up not getting drafted when I was a free agent that year. Like even the Remington Award, the guy from Miami, the center from Miami won, he didn't get drafted. So a lot of us went free agent, it was a defensive draft. Like all these guys go first round, defensive linemen, guys like Mike Ain't go first round. Like, man, this is crazy. You watch guys get drafted. And I wasn't watching the draft. I was out racing. I had these little RC cars, HPI racing cars. I was out on the track racing that. And my father-in-law was keeping me up to date. Always had a hobby. My father-in-law was keeping me up to date with the draft, calling me, getting on my nerves. Different people will call. They do them courtesy calls of the draft. Hey, this is such that we let you know we're about to take you. Hey, we're keeping in touch with you. And I got the most phone calls from the Cleveland Browns. They called me every single day of the draft. So had me think I was going to get going. My father-in-law would call me, keep a date with us. So when it's time to pick the team I was going to go to, Arizona called off me the most money, but Browns I felt was the most loyal to me during the whole process. So we ended up going with the Browns. They only had 4 picks that year. So they ended up going with the Browns and they took care of me a little bit.
Good.
So my first day with the Browns, we get out there, and Butch Davis was the coach. Butch Davis recruited me heavily out of Berwick, and made a comment, said, I get the players I want. So, he couldn't get me in high school, got me now. I said, all right, it's cool. But then they cut me 3 times. so, it's all good.
And there's no surprise there. That's just how the business goes. So
that's how it is. That's people that. So at that point, there were a lot of guys that want to be journeymen when they travel from team to team. And with my family going on, I knew that wasn't going to happen because wherever I go, they go. I'm saying the same thing right now. Wherever I'm at, they go. I had a Lincoln Navigator. The first time I was there, they gave us a little apartment. The second time I came back, they came back with me. And the second time I went back, Kelly just came with me. And they didn't have the housing situated right. So we set my car the first night. And I ain't tell them that, but they know now. But wherever I go, my family goes. So after that point, I knew I wasn't going to go back. I knew I had coaching opportunities. I knew I had something to go. I knew I could go back to Joe Pa and go back in the weight room and get that stuff done. So I made the decision, made it happen. And the first phone call I made was to my high school coach, George Curry, and my dad. And my dad, we didn't have a real strong relationship. My dad, he and my mom split up when I was in 5th grade, but I always called him, talked to him, and talked to me. And out of everybody else I talked to, he gave me the best advice. He said, do what's best for you. because I was going strong from '96 nonstop all the way through until 2000. I just felt like I was done with it, burnt out from doing all this traveling, playing ball. So the decision to me was so easy. That's why I don't like when it's time for to talk to the rookie and tell rookies my story. I don't tell them that part because I don't want to persuade somebody to do something too soon from what I did. You see what I'm saying? And I was older. I was an older freshman than everybody in my class.
Plus the head coach and the GM are going to come down like, Gus, we got these rookies retiring.
Yeah,
what's
everybody
going on?
quitting. You know what I'm saying? So I stayed away from everybody. As we sit down and talk to guys, you can go research, you can Google, you can find the stories, and I can talk to them. They'll learn themselves. But I don't go out and just jump out and say, "Hey, I stopped playing ball," because it wasn't. I was never the guy to say, "Hey, I can't wait to go to the NFL." That was never a plan of mine. You feel me? So, but on the back end of it, look, God put me in a position in so many ways to help so many people get there. Got offers, I got job offers from different NFL teams throughout the years, and I was real hesitant to come into the Panthers because of the experience in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? So just because of the business side of things and how it worked.
Yeah, it's a different league for sure, and it's unique because the NFL, and we're going to get into your college journeys here. The NFL, I try to explain to some people that people always engage, right, and they want to talk about it. Every organization is completely different.
Yeah.
They really are. The Shield is we all fall underneath the Shield, but they're all very different. They all have a different approach. I've been with the Giants, the Bears, the Panthers. I've worked out for Detroit, New Orleans, and a few others I forget. And they're all different. Everyone's nice and cordial, but they're all different. Let's transition. So you get into the coaching, you get into strength coaching. You've been at Penn State.
I wasn't. See, that's the thing, though. You say everybody assume when I left the Browns, I went back to Penn State, but then I got a head coaching job like a month later at Simon Gratz High School. First high school I dropped out of.
That's it. You told me that. Yes, I forgot. Wow.
Yeah. So the reason I got into strength and conditioning, like I said, it was something to do while I was at school, keeping from going to classes. Because back then, if you signed up for grad classes, you didn't have to go and still got your per diem, your money back from it. But now I guess you got to go to class and they changed up on y'all. But I did that to have something to do, and I did learn a lot. Don't get me wrong. And plus, I got to work out all day. I was in there working anyway. So I was a head football coach first. So I got into strength and conditioning after my first year at Gratz because I got offered a job at Cheyney University. All right, and at Cheyney, they didn't have a strength coach. They didn't have a weight room.
I think John Cheyney was the head basketball coach there before he went to Temple.
Yeah, he was there before I got there. Yep, a long time ago. So, in talking to the AD Patrick Simon, we made a strength coach. So that's when I really started hitting the ground hard in the strength and conditioning deal, because I could have direct correlation and connection with the guys all day long, being a strength coach. Whereas your football coach, you can't. They got different time periods, different times you be around the guys. You can't. You know how it was. As far as the rules they put on NCAA. So that's what got me into strength and conditioning. And I was told I couldn't do it.
So you're like, I'm doing it.
Yeah. I was told I shouldn't do it. That's not a smart path to take. That's not, not smart thing to do. It's not many black strength and conditioning coaches. I said, okay, I'm assuming that's what y'all think. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother. So that's how I got into strength and conditioning. But I was a head football coach at first at Simon Gratz. And when I got the job at Cheyney, because when I was at Gratz, man, I was first up the league, had as much of the nickel saved up and all that stuff. So I was inviting everybody from the city to come train with me and work out with me, you know what I'm saying? And just, we would use the park right across from the KFC at Huntington Park, right across from Grass. I had everybody from every school out there, just out there trying out, doing drills, running 40s. And I got offered a job at Cheyney because Dominique Curry, his dad, was the head basketball coach and assistant athletic director at Cheyney. His son would come out and play. Dom Curry is a Philly legend guy. I played at at Washington. I said at Washington. And they offered me a job at Cheyney. So let's go get it done. And that's how I got into college from that point on.
That's awesome. I love it. And there's nothing better than coaching and giving back.
Yeah.
Especially when you're at the high school level. It's just a different response. The kids are a little more bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, a little less. There's a know-it-alls for sure, but it's an interesting group for sure. I love coaching it. But let's transition, because you got to work for some awesome coaches. You talked about Mark Richt. Obviously you played for Joe Paterno. But are there guys over your years that you look back on and they've molded you to who you are today, or someone you really enjoy talking to or learning from? Who stands out? Because you've bounced around, for lack of a better term, like we all have in this business, and we've met great people in every building that we always talk about on a consistent basis. Who are those men or women?
Yeah, men and women, I should say more than just men. Definitely Mark Richt, no doubt about it. Just how he carried himself. We won, and he did it, honoring God the whole way. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't. Some coaches are just bad in organizations where people work so uptight, they're nervous, they can't even get any work done. Their anxiety levels are high. And with Mark Richt, it wasn't. It was the opposite that way. Everybody was joyful, happy. People call it soft. I tell everybody now, you see somebody soft, close your eyes, spin back around. That means you see somebody soft and slap them. So you come back around. But they use the word soft too much. But it was a great environment. You look forward to going to work. You look forward to being around them. Mark Richt was one of them. Definitely my high school coach, George Curry, and his son, Cosmo Curry. Cosmo was the one that really motivated me and pushed me to want to get in the strength when I decided to want to do it. What I'm saying? He was, we had strength and conditioning videos back then in Berwick, where, me doing cleans and snatches. And he was one that, was really in my corner, pushing me to get it done. Tamika Jones, I'll talk about her. She was my AD at Clark Atlanta when I was coaching at Clark Atlanta. My AD at
Shout out to Sal Major. Shout out to Sal Major.
Yeah, my dog Sal. But my first AD who really pushed me as far as just holding people accountable and being yourself was Pastor Simon at Cheyney, because I haven't met a person. I know Mark Richt was great. I never met a person that was more for student athletes and his coaches than anybody else. He actually got let go because Cheyney at that time felt like he was spending too much money on the athletic department. Never heard of it. That's the rumors going around. He took care of us above and beyond they ever did at Cheyney. As far as just changing the whole landscape of the organization. Just through paint and getting us laptops and, Motorola flip phones at the time for travel, getting us to, before we actually fly to games where instead of busting from, first year we bust from from Cheyney all the way down to Atlanta to play a game. Next year we were flying different places. You know what I'm saying? So him just showed me the importance of building relationships and taking care of your people. Who else I can think of? John Thomas was our head strength coach at Penn State. I had a blessing to come back later in life and put him on my staff in Miami, which is great. It's also, most of a lot of student athletes on the way. It's not just coaches. It's like the people I interact with, people I meet. You know what I'm saying? The people that think that I'm helping them, they're really helping me. So I always tell guys now, thank you for blessing me, because I learn more from the athletes and the people I'm working with than I do from the people, you should be learning from. And I was trying to find myself in a situation where you can learn from people, whether it's laughing, through cigars, through books, through Lego, whatever it is, through shoes. All those things are icebreakers for me that I get to, be around the people and learn from them. Because
so
go ahead.
No, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, Gus. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, because the athlete, everybody talk about that, but they got more stories to tell, more diverse situation than we have. I can learn from every situation I get into, man. That's the best part about it. Every day is a different day. Every interaction is different. And that's the one thing I look forward to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's real.
Yeah, it's real. I've learned a ton, right? I mean, we talked about my story, where I'm from, how blessed I am. And to learn from so many different people and have that paint perspective, it's going to make me a better father, better player, better teammate. It's tremendous. It really is. It's been an unbelievable gift to me, getting to know everybody in the business, but particularly my teammates. It's been awesome. Again, we talk about so many different things, and I get to, as a white man who grew up in a great area, talk to people that don't look like me, aren't from the same situation. I get to ask questions of people that truly know me, truly know my background, truly know what I'm all about. There's no, politics. There's no emotion behind it. It's just straight up fact. I get to talk to guys like my best friends and PJ Walker, who grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and didn't have everything given to him. And, all these different Temple guys. And, I'm rambling on, but it's an interesting thing you bring up about those relationships and how it's changed, and how it's an unbelievable thing, the locker room. And I'm fighting like heck to keep the locker room. I'm like, turn the music down. Let's talk. Like, let's enjoy each other's company. And that's everywhere I've been. It's been an unbelievable thing. And that's what you're creating your environment. You walk by your office, there's like 6 guys lounging in there. I don't get invited in anymore. It's not the same.
It's no invite. You just got to come in, man. No invite, man. Just come on in. That's the thing. You just got to come on in.
Hey, so you go Cheyney, and then where do you go from Cheyney?
All right, from Cheyney. All right. Now it's time for me to follow my wife. My wife had an opportunity to go down to Central Florida to get some licensing in cosmetology and teaching cosmetology. So I followed her down there and got back into high school ball right away. I was at Melbourne High School in Melbourne, Florida.
Yep. Know
And
it.
from there, here's the career. So from there, and wherever I'm at, I'm all about like trying to get these kids. Everybody knows we've got some great ones. So I would drive back from Florida and take kids up to Penn State camps, take kids up to different camps in Pennsylvania. That's where I'm from. That's what I know. So we skip all Florida, take these kids up to Pennsylvania, different camps. And I was at the Penn State camp, and then leaving out.
Real football in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I get a call from JT and Joe Paterno saying they had this position available, to be a grad assistant. And I said, man, let me talk to my wife. She wasn't too happy with it, but she wanted to be back home close to my mom. And I'm glad I did it because my mom was sick and didn't tell me about it. You know what I'm saying? Didn't tell her what she was dealing with. So I got a chance to see my mom for another year and a half before she passed away. So I'm glad that, I look at God, how he moves us. And that was a move that I think God put me on. So to be around mom for that time before she passed. And then from Penn State, man, just out there working, and Coach Johnson, JT, and then Jeremy Scott put me in position to do certain things. And they love the fact that I had some experience outside of Penn State from coaching, being different places. I'm telling you right now, if you get a chance to go different places to coach and be impactful, do it. Don't get stuck in the same place because all you want to know is there. You don't know what's going on out there. So I was able to bring back some things that I learned along the way and started making nicks for myself. And before it's time for me to leave, Coach Johnson had me set up for interviews all across the place, man, with different people that he's known, just bragging about me because I spent most of my time training his D lineman, and he was grateful for it. And from going back to Penn State, we were there from 2009 to 12, and all that stuff happened with Joe Pod, and all that stuff went down, the Penn State stories. And from there, I went back down to Clark, Atlanta. That's when I was at Clark, Atlanta. That's one of the best decisions I made. And still to this day, one of the best positions I've ever held was at Clark, Atlanta. So that's when I stopped coaching football too. I actually got off the field for sure and was done coaching and just focused on, strength and conditioning and as well as, administrative stuff. Like I said, they told me before I couldn't be there's no black strength coaches. There was only one at the time that was Jeff Madden out at Texas at the time. Bigger guys like myself, and he was a huge friend, huge fan of mine. And from there, man, it was just a blessing. I got calls every year from multiple schools, and coaches would leave Georgia with a call, both take me with them. Coach would leave Miami with a call. It was great just to be able to be around and had all those phone calls coming through. And still to this day, people, just I had to have a conversation last week about I'm not a strength coach anymore. Why? Because I don't do that anymore. When we go in the place they're going, it's great to get those calls, but they got to understand that's not where my heart's at. I don't want to get into something just to do it just for a title. I don't believe in titles and all that. Because people have, authority over titles. And that's not, no, I don't care about no titles. I'm not going to go get a job. My heart's not going to be into it. I'm not going to be able to impact the guys where I want to. So, yeah, man. So from Clark, Atlanta.
Everywhere, man.
From Clark, Atlanta to Georgia. From Georgia to Miami. And it's been a blessing. And then here it is. Yeah,
and
now here.
It's great. And talk about titles, it struck my head like the best teams, the best places that I've been and heard about just have great people around, no matter what their role is. Sometimes you don't even know what people's role are. And that's like awesome. Like they're just, and that's a part of what Coach Rules has done. Everybody wears an operations hat. Everybody's all in. Coach Rules is a huge figure in college football. And even when he was coming up the ranks and people in the NFL were like, yo, your Coach Rules the real deal, and like how he does things. And people always ask me how he does things. I'm like, he's involved in everything and everyone's involved in everything. Like we're moving the meter. It's all one goal. Everyone's pulling the right direction. And for me, he's been the easiest coach to play for because he just wants you to play hard and give everything you have and, work with good people around like yourself. And again, I love that when you said there's no titles, no roles, like you just go and do it. That's strong. Yeah,
I work with a head coach that would spend his days, you ever when you get from the game, like Mark Wick would take a lap around the facilities picking up trash outside, and he don't have to do that, but that's what he chooses to do. You see what I'm saying? Because if he can do that, you should be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So I watched him do that at Georgia, watched him do it in Miami. I watched him just come and get us all new golf carts because he walked up and the golf cart was sitting on flats and had bushes and trees growing through how long he's been sitting there. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't care about stuff like that, how can athletes care about it? Yeah. So, I watched him donate the first $1 million to our indoor facility in Miami they never had. And after he did it, everybody else wanted to do it. Yeah. I watched him, spend $300,000 out of his own pocket to get us strength equipment. You know what I'm saying? That we said we couldn't get, that we couldn't get. So those are people I've been around that appreciate and care about. You know what I'm saying?
Leaders lead from the front all the time, right? That's
it.
something to be said.
That's it.
As we wrap things up, 2 things that I've gotten to know Gus Felder is all about is cigars and Legos.
Yes.
Talk to me about cigars first, and then we'll move to the Lego train.
And my first cigar in 2003 was the Browns. We went to remember how I like the HBI gas powered cars you build for kids. So we went out there, me and a couple of my buddies, and went out to the golf tournament. It was optional. You know, everything in the NFL is optional when you go. Our goal was to win the car. I never played golf before. You know, got a new term for it, but I can't repeat. You know, when we talk about that here. Never played golf, man. And we ended up not winning the car. So we did have cigars today. We had cigars with guys that same year, you know, Brian had just got drafted to the Cavs. So they had that whole team over there. Barkley was there. We all having cigars. I almost killed myself smoking a cigar for the first time, but I fell in love with it since then. Since then, that's turned into, but that golf story, after we left that tournament, we went out and we went and bought the cars that we were trying to win. We could have did it from the beginning, but we went to put me there to learn about cigars. And from that golf thing turned into me having my own cigar line, Big Dog Cigars LLC. Got some great friends in Miami from Nicaragua area. The Cuban Tobacco Factory, go check them out. You see them on the shelves in there. A little plug, I had to get that in there. And then, but Lego was something I always did. Thinking back to the days with my grandfather. My grandfather was a World War II vet. And one thing to remember is like we would walk from 31st and Lehigh to 5th and Diamond to my grandfather's house. Both of my grandparents lived right next door to each other. My mom and dad grew up in the same block. They grew up together. But my grandfather had these old Lego sets that we would just sit and build, talk while he's smoking his cigars and watching wrestling TV and stuff. That's why. And people wonder why. And then it took me from doing it with my kids and myself. But it's just something that helps me get away from everything else that we face in the world. Seems I'm wrong. I think and get away from it. You know?
Love it.
Yep.
I love it.
So
Gus,
yeah, Lego cigars real big.
Big Gus Felder, Big Dog Cigars
LLC. Yep.
LLC. Look them up. We're gonna have to maybe do a little holiday giveaway, some Big Dog cigars on here. Give them away on the pod, and that'd be cool. Yeah, we'll make it happen.
Get it done.
We'll get it done. Gus Felder, Berwick legend, Philly legend, Penn State legend, and someone I get to go to work with every day and absolutely enjoy. Appreciate you coming on, Gus.
I appreciate it, Colin. Thanks, man. Hope it was good. Talk to you later.
All right, Gus.